Right, for segment 1 today, let's get some energy going. Let's drink caffeine. Oh, I didn't take a B12. That's my problem. But for segment 1 today, we're going to talk about skills and O.C.C.s. Yes, I tried to type O.C.C. in that little splash image, and it looked really, really weird because Kevin Simbita has a rule, and he sends the ninjas from Ninjas and Super Spies over to your house if you don't follow that rule, and that's you must put the periods after the letters. Must!
Against a normal guy, anyone in Ninjas and Super Spies book is just murder.
Yes. Yeah. I have not juiced myself up from Rifts yet. So that's coming, though. Actually, I'd go Cyborg.
You did go Cyborg.
Well, I'm just saying, if Rifts were real, I'd go Cyborg.
I would definitely go crazy. I think that would be so much fun. I'd lose all my friends, but goddamn, I would gain several others that only exist in my head.
Those are the best friends ever, aren't they?
Yeah, they'll never leave.
All right. I want to, and if you missed last week, we had our week 1 giveaway. Today, we are going to do the drawing for week 2 giveaway. So congratulations to our winners of $25 gift cards, gift certificates, as they're called on Drive-Thru-RPG, and to our winners of the Conan hardcover and the Rift's 30th anniversary hardcover. So congratulations. And segment 1 at the end of this segment, we'll give away our, there you go, Dungeon Crawl Classics and a $25 gift certificate. Segment 2 will be the other book and the other gift certificate. And remember, segment 1 is a live stream podcast discussion, not a concise step-by-step tutorial. I got to get rid of that may, because it's just not truthful. It's very dishonest. It gives you hope. Yep. Yeah, it gives you hope that you don't have. We will deviate off topic and go on tangents. So enjoy.
You love taking away hope. Giving it, taken away.
Hope giveth and hope taketh away.
Yep.
I know that's not how. All right, so today's going to be kind of boring. Oh, no, it is not.
Nope.
Today could be kind of boring. But here's the thing. We're not reading through all this crap.
No.
We're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to spend most of the time in the O.C.C.s. I'm saying that both to you, to lock it into my own noggin, and for Heathen Dog up there as well, to remind us that we're not going to spend a lot of time on the skills. We're going to look over a couple. Like, I think it's important to look over the horsemanship stuff.
I think it's important to look over the physical skills as well, because people really go, I rolled really crappy on one of my skills. Well, that doesn't matter in Palladium, and we can prove it.
Yep. And then we'll look over a couple weapon proficiencies. We'll scroll, like I'm scrolling through right now. We'll scroll through a little slower so you can see what's on there. And then if somebody in chat says, hey, what's that skill? Then we might stop there. But for the most part, here you go. I think this skill because we are talking about the deep dive into the game. We're doing a read through. I think we read this. What do you think about that? The skill modifiers and, oh my God, my computer's acting weird. They don't have it here. Never mind. I won't get into it. Or did we miss? Oh, that's horror factor. Huh. Well, what I was looking for. Right. No, what I was looking for is if it talked about the difference between a professional skill and a.
No, that's not in this book.
Okay. All right, then we'll skip that. Let's start right up here and look at the skill description list, so you can see all the skills that are in the game before Heathen Dog takes us into the next portion of it. So we got communication skills, and by the way, these categories here, or sections, or category he calls them here, are just so you can find it easier. You kind of have an understanding, like, hey, you get 3 physical skills. Well, you now know what physical skills are. It's these. Why? Because it's under the physical heading. So I kind of wish that the skills down here in this section would be in alphabetical order, not in
category order.
But it's not that big of a deal. So there we go. There, look at all those weapon proficiencies. And as we learned on Friday, there's archery and there is targeting. And they can work together. So maybe we'll look at that too. All right.
But they purposely did not make it OP, because once you close range, if you're specialized in archery and targeting and long distance attacks, you're probably gonna have a bad time.
I'm missing chat. What's going on in chat?
Billy Rubin says, you down with OCC? Well, Max.
Just as a side note, because I want to be very clear, and I didn't mention it, and I'm not saying that chat's going wrong, but I just see a message in chat that I think I need to clarify. If you already won a hardcover book, you can only win a gift certificate now. I'm not sending a hardcover book. That was in the original rules. That's been in there from the beginning. But But you can win multiple gift certificates. You can win both segment 1 and segment 2 gift certificates. But the hardcover books will be 1 per person for that one. The typical, you got to live in the United States, et cetera, et cetera. So,
yep. All right, let's see here.
Skill modifiers. Let's just start right there.
Okay. As a rule of thumb, there should be a skill penalty of minus 40% when trying to figure out, operate, repair, or use alien magic, mechanisms, and technologies.
Aliens already?
Well, yeah. Well, alien in this case doesn't just mean from another planet. It means completely unknown magic.
From south of that border.
Or, other dimensional like demon magic or angel magic or whatever. This is fantasy, so there are those things in here.
What?
This includes ancient forgotten magic, like I said, magic devices, creations of the gods, as well as ultra modern items like an automobile, hover cycle. Now remember, they still have, Rifts is a thing, right? And this is the 2nd edition. So since Rifts is a thing, you can be rifted to modern day from Palladium fantasy.
I now agree with whoever said it. I think it was on Friday, and it might have been Violence Solves Everything, but it also might have been Lost Ogre, Hungry Ewok, or somebody as well, who said that 2nd edition was just Palladium fantasy riftified.
No, it's true. Yeah, the Kevin wanted to bring Palladium fantasy in line with the rest of the playlist, so he had to make it compatible with Rifts, Ninjas, Super Spies, Heroes Unlimited, stuff like that. The TMNT had to do all of that. So that's what 2nd edition did. So if a skill is not known to your culture, region, or world, and you try to use it, you're at minus 40% to whatever base percentage you have. If that brings you to 0 or less, well, then I hope you roll 100. I really do. Or I'm sorry, I hope you roll a 1.
Oh, roll 1, yeah.
Roll 1, yeah.
Oh, no,
sorry,
I hope you roll a 100.
Yeah, I hope you roll a 1. That'd be funny. No, I hope you roll a 1 because that's what you're pretty much going to need. Likewise, trying to figure out experimental or dramatically altered magic or technology will incur a penalty of between minus 20 and minus 40 at the GM's discretion. Similarly, the GM can inflict a skill penalty of minus 5 to minus 30 when a skill is used against especially sophisticated or complex devices. For example, you are skilled in a bow. Okay, good for you. Now you pick up a 21st century carbon fiber, ultra compound, high-tech bow with laser sights. You're going to have a couple minuses till you get used to it, okay? That's how it is. You got to use it for a while. See, to get how the differences between your bow and this bow work out, and then your penalty will drift away. But until then, you're going to get a penalty. And then we go on to communicate, and then we go on to the skill categories. We're going to get 1 or 2 from each category and then move on.
Mime. Right? That's the important one here.
What?
Mime. If you're gonna have a communication skill, you must have mime right here. Mime here. Let me zoom in a little more for you.
No, stop
right there. It is the most important skill in this section.
What the? Fine, we'll do it. Okay. The artful combination of 2 other skills, prowl and sign language, to create a form of silent entertainment. Characters who choose the mime skill must first select both prowl and sign language. The percentile number indicates the overall quality and acting or portrayal of the mime.
Why?
And it starts at 30%.
Why?
30%. Now hang on. Kevin must really respect mimes as a profession, because professional mimes who make money must have been doing it for years. If you start at 30%, you got to be level 15 to make money as a mime.
Well, almost all the skills in this game. Look, this one's 15%.
I know, I'm just saying, but mime should start at 50. Mime. Seriously?
I want to know why mime's in here.
I don't know.
I really feel like he's just filling up. Like, God, I need more skills. Oh, mime.
I fill up the space. Column inches. No.
Now, see, sign language I could see as being useful.
Yes. That's covert language across a room, or if you have a spyglass or something across great distance. That's fine. I get it. But yeah, everything else stupid. All right, let's move on to language because it has the most variance.
Is that in communication.
That's in the very first. Yeah, right there.
Oh God, it's this long one.
Characters
Okay.
with a language skill can understand and speak a language other than their own native tongue. You get your native tongue for free in your OCC when you pick it. You get your native tongue. All right.
At 98%.
At 98%, which is basically the best you can get. Which is, in my experience, is not the norm. That's how it is.
Oh, that almost came out. That almost came out.
There you go. But if you want to learn a different language, it starts at 40%, 5 per level. Now, the different languages, there are 10 distinct spoken languages and 7 distinct written languages, which are not covered in language. I believe it's covered in read language, not just language. But Dwarven is the oldest and probably the most prevalent. It's kind of like the reason the American passport is in English and French, because French used to be the language of commerce. Well, in Palladium fantasy, Dwarvish is the language of commerce. Let's see. It's written language alphabet. No, blah, blah, blah. There's Elvish, human. There's lots of different human dialects. Human Eastern, human Southern, human Northern, human Western, or Western Empire. Each human language has its own form of written word. Many humans, particularly nobility, scholars, men of magic, and merchants, also speak Elven, because why not? And there's dumb languages which you would never take, because gianties and gobbledygook. You don't talk to them, you just shoot them.
Well, you could cuss at them in their
there
native
you go.
tongue.
There you go. If you want to learn it, I would allow you for free to learn only swear words and insults. Fairy speak.
Fairy speak. That's your anime pedophile girl language.
No, stop it. Wolfen. all of this. It depends on your campaign. So before you pick a language, it's important to speak to your game master and say, "Hey, thank you."
I was in character.
I get it. And say, okay, where am I? What are the cultures around me? And that will define your initial language choices. So get with your game master before you start randomly picking languages that you may never actually encounter. Literacy, here you go. You pick a language, now you can write it. Now, if you don't pick language, then you can't speak it, but you can read and write it, which is fine. That's fine. Happens a lot. And okay, that's enough. We'll move on to the domestic skills. Cook. This, I think, of the domestic skills is paramount. Cooking and fishing and hunting. Those are
interesting. This is different than because the way the skill is written in the more modern games is you're only cooking for banquets, and
yes, this one is cooking basically just food. Selecting, planning, and preparing meals. A cooking roll failure means that cooked food is not properly prepared. It is edible but tastes bad. So you technically don't need the cooking skill to survive. But
you're eating jerky every day.
Yeah, you're eating jerky and hardtack every day. That good for you, bro. Good for you. But fishing and hunting, these are two important skills. Fishing, fundamental methods of enjoyment of freshwater fishing. Areas of knowledge include the use of lures, baits, poles, hooks, and lines. Also include a basic knowledge of freshwater fish, turtles, amphibians, their habits, and taste. Skill use, 30 plus 5. Roll every 20 minutes, see if a fish is successfully captured. So it's not just identifying where to fish, what the fish in this particular lake would be. It's literally catching food. Every 20 minutes, you have a 30 plus 5% chance of catching food. This could be the difference between life and death. So fishing is important. And I see they don't have hunting in here at all. It must be under a different thing. Okay.
Would it be under wilderness survival? Just
probably
survival?
Under some kind of wilderness deal. Okay. So espionage. Okay, let's go over. What do you want to go over in espionage?
The only one. Well, we could go over the hard one, intelligence, but I think detect, concealment, and traps, because it's got that fantasy ring to it.
It does. Okay, so we'll do that. This is a skill which enables the individual to spot and recognize camouflage, concealed structures, buildings, shelters, caches of equipment, as well as concealed traps. Detecting a trap enables the character to avoid or safely spring it without injury to himself or those around him. He cannot otherwise deactivate or reset traps. 25 plus 5% per level experience. Reduce the character skill by half when looking for secret doors and compartments. Now, it doesn't say anywhere that you have to specifically say, I am detecting concealment and traps before you roll. It doesn't specifically say that anywhere. Now, maybe later on in the book, it will specifically indicate whether you have to be looking or not. But a first time read of this skill, I would go under the assumption that you do not have to actively be looking for concealment and traps. The game master will roll your skill secretly to see if you detect it.
Writing down a note for segment 2 because I'm bringing this up in segment 2.
Okay. And detect ambush, the way it reads, training with which develops an eye for spotting locations and terrain suitable for ambushes and being ambushed. This does not detect if an ambush is there. This detects likely ambush places. Now, a good faith reading of that first sentence tells me you definitely do not have to be examining the place, because it says you develop an eye for spotting them, which means when you walk into a canyon, you immediately see, because you've trained yourself, you immediately understand, okay, that's a good sniper nest. This is a good place to jump down on me. You're trained to do it. It's just habit. So I would not make people roll this. It also provides a rudimentary knowledge of guerrilla tactics used by bandits and soldiers. Not only can you detect places for ambush in the defensive way, but you can detect places of ambush that you can use offensively as an ambusher. And it's 30 plus 5. You're going to get that a lot. Most of this book, like at least half the skills are 30 plus 5.
And then we got a bunch more. I want to address chat real quickly here because we've kind of let that go for a little bit.
Okay.
First of all, hello, T-shirt historian. Good to see you here. Why is there a 30% skill for literacy? That's for
A non-native skill.
Yeah, not non-native. So
every O.C.C. that you get, because you have to pick an O.C.C., you get for free your native language at 98%. If you want a second language, it starts at 30. Plus any ancillary bonuses due to IQ or some other circumstance.
All right, that's the main stuff there. Easier to do when you yeah. One of my things about the skill list here is Heathen Dog and I have kind of had a little kerfuffle over a skill in one of the more modern games that I think is absolutely useless, and I've actually removed it from the game. And you know, he says it's useful for these reasons. I don't like it, but I see here kind of the same thing. Like, honestly, the Mime skill, that's a great role-playing skill if you're going to get deep into, I'm sorry, we can't call it role-playing anymore, social interaction. Whatever. You know, or, you know, when you're acting a character, but I see no purpose to the skill. It could be combined with other things, like, you know, well, maybe not public speaking. It could be combined with sign language or something. It's like, it doesn't
I have
need...
only one in-game use for that skill that isn't purely entertainment. Distraction.
Well, making money. Yeah, okay, yeah. Distraction, making money or something.
You are already a thief because you have prowl and sign language.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably a rogue class of some kind. So you are a distraction while the warrior gets behind them and bops them on the head. Yeah,
but to me, that's just such a role-playing thing. If you want to mime it out, just mime it out.
Let you do it, you know? Yeah, just let you do it. All right, anyway. Now we'll go to horsemanship.
Apparently, these skills are important, because I was going to bypass this entire section, but apparently in Palladium Fantasy, this is more important than we might think.
It is. Horsemanship is important. There are 3 ranges of horsemanship skills: General, Knight, and Paladin. Each indicate a certain degree of training and expertise. If you want to, you can equate it to basic, expert, and martial arts hand-to-hand combat, but you're on a horse. They have the same 3 levels. The individual O.C.C. will indicate which of these 3 apply to the occupation. General knowledge is most common. Each type of horsemanship has the following skills and area of knowledge. Okay. So no matter what you pick, you get these basic deal. Ride and care for horses. You can ride a horse and not fall off.
Yay.
And you know how to care for your horse to make sure that it survives long term. Shoeing, brushing, feeding, watering, you know, general health maintenance of every horse. That's fine. Recognize quality breed, breed horses, jumping, racing, combat. All of this stuff is known for all of it. Okay, T-shirt historian says, I'm in a weird place on skills. On the one hand, having so many skills reduces any task to a check, but on the other, do you think that shuts down engagement of critical thinking? Now, it has a lot of skills. You don't get all these skills. You have to choose them, or you get them as part of your O.C.C, and that means they're core and necessary.
Yeah,
so
sorry, go on.
I understand that having a lot of skills could make you, could devolve your game into just rolling. It's the game master's job to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, for me, it's not about the number of skills, because I think Chaosium is a perfect example of having a ton of skills, but having it work. The problem that I have with like Palladium skills is people take the same ones over and over again. So some of them just don't make sense, or some of them are so intricate, going back up to Mime, that there's no point for the skill. That should be a role-playing endeavor. So I don't have an issue with how many skills are on a character sheet. I have an issue with, is the skill meaningful? Is there a reason to take? Because let's look at Year Zero Engine. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later in segment 2, but it's a rules light game. It has 3 skills per attribute, 4 attributes, 3 skills. That means per attribute, so 12 skills total. 13 if you count the special one. That's it. Covers everything your character will do. Yeah. Now here there are skills, but when it gets into the minutia, well, why is it into the minutia of Mime, but say not into the minutia of freshwater or saltwater fishing, or deep lake fishing versus shore fishing? That's the part that gets me. And maybe that's a bad example, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying on that. It's what the selection is for me.
Oh, and James, to get Mime, you have to have sign language. It's a required skill before you get Mime, so it's doubly worthless.
Yeah.
So don't do it. Okay, Horsemanship General. This is what you get for general horsemanship, and to be fair, most O.C.C.s get this because this is a fantasy game. You get around by horse. That's how it works.
Did it say up here real quickly what the percentage before and the percentage after is? Percentage note to avoid being thrown from the horse. Each type of horse, the higher the I don't see where it says, unless it's specifically in one of these. Usually it means like for medicine, diagnosing and treating, for example. I don't know what it is here. Maybe it'll explain in a moment.
Maybe it will. Okay, all the basic skills noted above. Base skill of 35% or 20%. We'll find out why in a minute. Plus 5% per level. Okay, combat. All bonuses are in addition to other combat skills, weapon proficiencies, or other attributes. So this is additive to your normal bonuses. So fighting on a horse, you have the high ground, Obi-Wan, you're going to do better. All right? So this is on top of your normal skill. +1 to parry and dodge, plus 1d4 damage when on horseback, because you have the horse's momentum along with your own arm momentum. Makes perfect sense.
There's a reason cavalry was important.
Yes, yes. Charge attack, obviously, plus d6 damage if you're using a lance, polearm, or spear. Great. Horsemanship Knight, 40/30 plus 5. Combat. You don't get general plus Knight. You get base horse skill plus Knight, base horse skill plus general. So this is not additive with the general. This is Knight specific. +1 initiative, +1 roll, +2 to parry and dodge, plus 1d6 damage when on horseback, not 1d4, plus 1d6 general, and charge attack is plus 2d6, not 1d6. And horsemanship Paladin. Again, this is exclusive from general and Knight. This is Paladin. +1 initiative, +2 roll with fall impact. When knocked off a horse, you're actually trained to be knocked off a horse and not suffer
all those jousting tournaments.
Yes, exactly. Inflicts +6 damage while on horseback, which is actually better than a d6 because you're basically maxing the die.
Guaranteed, yep.
There it is. You get a +3 d6 when you're using a polearm and a charging attack. Great. Horsemanship exotic animals. Same as general horsemanship, except the character's experience in riding other types of tame animals. Now, this is your variant animals from different cultures: elephants, camels, llamas, pegasi, griffins, dragon dactyls. That's a thing apparently. That sounds terrifying, but okay. giant insects, monstrous beasts that are trained or willing to let you ride them. Falcor. There you go. And then we go on to that's about it.
Okay.
For horsemanship. Okay, medical.
Let's look at first aid because I'd like to look at the difference between first aid and
important.
I guess holistic.
Because there's no actual doctors, because that's the way it works, right? No, there's surgeon, medical doctor. We're going to go first aid and then.
Oh yeah, I missed it. Yeah, there you go. Yep.
First aid, rudimentary medical treatment, which includes how to stop bleeding, bandage wounds, administer CPR. They had CPR back in. There you go. Artificial respiration and the treatment of fevers, rashes, minor burns, minor cuts, bruises, and injury. So
I think that's a bad cut and paste.
I think you're right. Yeah, they shouldn't have CPR in here. Or artificial respiration. Yeah. I don't think that was a thing. But fevers and rashes should be under holistic medicine. Minor burns, minor cuts, bruises, and injury, and bandage wounds, stop bleeding. Basically, if you are taken to 0 or less than 0, but still greater than your PE in hit points, you are in a coma. First aid is required to bring you out of that coma state, to actually treat you, stop the bleeding, stem the flow of blood, bring you, help you get out of that coma, give you your roll, then bring you back to 1 hit point. Okay.
There's one. I want to stop for a second. There's one comment that that I want to address now. I'd rather be like World of Darkness, as high skill numbers reflect training, rather than a whole new skill to reflect that. In some part, I agree with you, but the other part is maybe not this version of the game. But like with, say, Heroes Unlimited, where you actually have an educational system and you take the medical doctor program, you start the game off with the ability to perform surgery. So, maybe Palladium Fantasy isn't the best representative of that because you have the O.C.C.s, but I see why they're separate. Some of us, when I was in the military, I learned first aid buddy care, but I'm not as good. I could do first aid, but I was no paramedic.
Yeah. All right, and then we move on to actual surgeon. The surgeon of the Palladium world is a primitive version of our own modern medical doctor. The character is a trained surgeon with a knowledge of anatomy and basic understanding of infection, the symptoms of disease, and biology. Areas
no, they didn't. Include. They suck it out. Give them some maggots. Actually, the maggots thing works.
The maggot thing works.
There are leeches on there.
Thing that was stupid.
Yeah.
Medical disciplines, code of ethics, physiology, basic pathology, rudimentary pharmacology, and techniques and methods of data collection. However, the main focus is on surgery. Surgery
no, the main focus is on bite down, drink this, and I'm cutting it off.
Yeah. Precision use of knives and scalpels for medical purposes, sewing cuts closed, removing warts and growths, delivering babies, even by C-section. Wow, this is a really advanced fantasy world. Realigning and setting broken bones, amputating limbs, cauterizing wounds, surgically removing foreign objects, stopping bleeding, blah, blah, blah. Okay, 30/20 plus 5. Now, in this case, I know from later Palladium stuff that the 20% base is for diagnosing.
No, 30%. 30% is for diagnosing, 20% is for treating.
I thought it was the other way around.
No, the first percentage is the surgeon's ability to accurately diagnose the problem.
Oh, okay, diagnosing and then actually doing it is not as.
I know what the problem is. Let's see if I can fix it.
Yeah, there you go. Second percentage number of doc skills assessed with treating. Modifiers: minus 20% to treat disease, minus 15% to treat internal injuries, and in fact, here is where we get into medieval times. I'm like, oh yes, he's got the fever, yeah, and
the gout.
Minus 20%, rolls. Fails the roll. Oh yeah. Close all the windows and doors.
Leech them.
There you go. That's the proper treatment. Leech them. Minus 30% to treat alien creatures. Makes sense. Reduce skill ability by half when trying to use or negate poisons and herbs. Not applicable if holistic medicine is known. Holistic medicine uses medicine herbs in all treatments and remedies. So you would know not only poisons, but how to counteract the effects of said poison. So you wouldn't get that modifier on you. Requirements: must take biology, mathematics, and holistic medicine.
Sorry, I scrolled. I thought we were done. I didn't realize there was more.
Nope, we got a problem.
Where the hell? What page is that on now? Oh, here we go. Requirements: must mathematics, holistic medicines are helpful, but not required. What?
Oh, okay. Mathematics and holistic medicines are helpful, but not required. Okay, I didn't finish the sentence. I thought that if holistic medicine is known, but it's a requirement. No, it says it's important. Okay, good. That's excellent. All right. Now moving on.
Let's skip military and go straight into physical because we're gonna be spending some time on these
Okay.
O.C.C.s.
Now this is important. Okay, this is important because when you're rolling your stats, you're rolling, if you're human, you're rolling 3d6 across the board, right? There's a great chance you're going to roll a 2, maybe 3 bad stats, or in your estimation, a bad stat. Physical skills fix everything. It brings you up to normal or even better sometimes.
You may have to waste a skill selection to do this, or 3, but you can put that 8 in your physical strength and your physical endurance, and there are a few skills here that we'll look at real quickly and show, oh, look at this, you now have a bonus to your physical strength and physical endurance.
Here we go. Yeah. So it starts off with your hand-to-hand combats. If your O.C.C. does not give you hand-to-hand combat, you can take it as secondary skills. That's fine. Acrobatics, we're not going to do that. We're going to do athletics. Here we go.
Athletics, that's a good one, yes.
Yes, athletics. This is basically general physical training of strength, wind sprints.
It's your morning Japanese calisthenics.
Yeah, basically, yes. You've done calisthenics for years, and this is what you get. You get a +1 to your physical strength, plus to your speed, plus to your SDC. Okay, so you can take a hit, you can give a better hit because you're generally stronger. But that's not strong enough. No, I want bodybuilding. That'll give you +2 to your physical strength. And then +10 more SDC because you got more mass. You can absorb more punishment. Now, here's one that Max does not like.
Oh, I do not like it at all. Although
boxing. Boxing. The classic art of fighting with fists. Training helps build the body and reflexes. That second sentence is important for the point I'm going to make later. Skilled boxers will automatically knock out opponents on a roll of natural 20. The victim of a knockout will remain unconscious for 1d4 rounds. Unlike normal knockout stun, the player with boxing skills does not have to announce that he's trying to do it. He's just that good. The following bonuses are provided. +1 attack per melee round. Max has a real problem with this because it applies across the board. It does. I'm sorry, man. We're reading the book now.
I don't care what the rule says.
Reading the book now, asshole. Stop it. It applies across the board. Whether you're firing an arrow, throwing a knife, swinging an axe, because of that second sentence. Training helps build the body and reflexes. It makes you faster across the board. That's why you have an extra attack. Because you are generally faster because of this training. You can squeeze one more attack in the same time that it takes someone else to do one less. That's why it's there. Now, whether I get it, that's the rule, but whether you have it in your game or not is up to you. That's why it's there. That's the reasoning behind it, and it exists. If you don't agree with any of that, fuck off a bridge with Dan. All right. +2 to parry and dodge. Obviously, again, reflexes. +1 to roll with punch fall. If you take boxing, you take hits and you fall down. You learn to fall down well. All right. That's how it works. And +2 to strength and +3d6 to SDC because you are trained to give damage and take it.
See, real long shot and we can be friends. I don't actually call the skill. What I do personally is I actually just say, you don't get to take boxing, gymnastics, and acrobatics. No, you're not having all 3 of those skills on one character ever. That I do call.
Now, that is homebrew.
Obviously. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, not in the book, but Forced March. I want to take on because it's not in many of the other books.
Okay.
Practice training in uniform marching with a full field pack and weapons. Now, the reason this is important is because there are, medieval type armies. Not everyone gets a horse, right? So you have to be trained to march with your full rucksack and full armor and full gear for long distance without getting tired or hurting yourself. So if you are a soldier, you are trained to do this. Otherwise, If you try and march with full gear over an entire day, you're not going to pace yourself correctly. You're not going to walk in the correct fashion. You're not going to have the correct posture, and
Next
you're
day
going
it's
to
gonna
hurt your
hurt.
back. You're going to get trench foot. You're going to get sores on your feet. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to get shin splints. All of this can happen to you if you don't know how to march. Marching is a skill, even in real life. You are the Army and Marines are trained to do it.
Not us in the Air Force. Well, we
Not us
are,
Air Force,
but
because we have
not the
planes.
same way.
We have planes. That's how it works. All right. Now, let's say your physical prowess is a little off and you want to get more of that. Okay, gymnastics. Not only does it give you base skills for balancing, walking on bars and rings, stuff like that, but it gives you a +1 physical prowess. But because it is a very lift your own body weight and hold it intensive exercise, you also get strength and physical endurance because it's mostly cardio. So your PE is going to go up. And then we have running. Running again, lots of cardio, but you also learn to increase the pace at which you can run, so you gain speed and you gain SDC because of extra fortitude.
This is killing me. Work parallel
Wrestling.
bars. Well, hold on. Let's stick with gymnastics for a second. Work parallel bars and rings, because those are just commonplace all over the. I mean, like,
Well, no, fair enough. But that is a real world example of tree limbs, vines.
what if I
stuff
trained
like
in
that.
floor program? I know that's covered under here, but I didn't work this side of it. I'm being pedantic now. I know. Well, so to answer the question real quickly, why? Where is it? Well, why do I not allow? Because having both gymnastic and acrobatics doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. You're either an acrobat or a gymnast, and both can do either. So it really should just be one skill. That's how I did it in my game, by the way. And as far as boxing goes, when you take boxing plus gymnastics, unless you're a high-end martial artist, so I better see those three skill selections go to picking martial arts. You have no reason to do that. It doesn't make any sense. I have to have some sort of believability in your character.
Okay, and then the final one we're going to look at is wrestling. Now wrestling is, in my opinion, the second most useful skill in this entire section, just for the fact you have the pin, incapacitate, and body block tackle. Because
And not enough people take this skill.
Yes, the people take this skill, but they don't utilize the body block tackle and the pin incapacitate as much. But these are very important. If you've lost initiative and you body block someone and they hit the ground, that next round they go last and they lose an action. That is tactically vital in some situations. So this is an amazing skill to take just for that. And pin incapacitate, if you have a team and you're facing one person, if you pin them, you cannot attack, but they cannot attack, but your buddies can just go all stabby stab. Exactly.
Do you know why everybody takes the skill, though?
What?
They only take it for one reason.
Yeah.
46 SDC.
46 SDC, because wrestlers learn to take pain, they learn to take damage, they learn to
avoid damage.
To not only apply joint locks but to resist joint locks. So you have to bring up your pain tolerance. That brings up your SDC.
I'm scrolling through pretty much the rest of these until we get to weapon proficiencies, because I really want to get to O.C.C.s.
Okay.
Unless there's something that you think, like breed dogs. Is breed dogs really important for you?
Breed dogs is not really important.
Okay. Just kind of scroll through this so people can see it. But here we are with weapon proficiencies. I'll pause for a moment just to see if Heathen Dog wants to find a skill that he thinks is really important.
That's what I'm looking for. I wanted to do prowl, but it doesn't show armor penalties, so I'm not going to.
So Nanya, it's like, oh, why would you not try to make a battle advantage? Because I believe in playing characters, not spreadsheets. But again, your table might be different. So, I don't like min-maxing of skills and abilities just to get certain numbers up. Now, there are ways around it. I could just have you in a bunch of social encounters, and I don't care how many wrestling and boxing and gymnastics you've got. If 100 people dogpile you, you're done.
Now, the one I want to do right before weapons is lore magic. Now, even if you're not a magic user in this game, This can be a very useful skill, especially if you're a thief. The area of study does not give the character any magic powers or the ability to read magic symbol. It provides is general information about magic, magic items of myth and legend, and creatures of magic. Now, this is important for a general person and a thief in particular, because if you are thieving burgling, if you are burgling a magical residence, you want to know if a certain lockbox or cabinet or door is magically protected. You don't care what kind of protection it is. All you know is it's magic and I can't pick it, and I want to stay away from it. Or if you're entering a dungeon situation and you see a bunch of runes over a door, you want to know if that's just writing you don't understand or if it's magic. If it's magic, then you bring the wizard up and go, what is that? If I cross this threshold, am I going to turn into a newt or something? It's good to know, right? And then later on, recognizing enchantments, recognizing magical items, people under charms and curses.
I can only see the whites of his eyes. I can't see the rest of it. Is he cursed?
Yeah, there you go. Now it's only 10 plus 5%.
Nah, he's not cursed.
But no one else, unless you are a magic using class, has this ability whatsoever to determine if an item is magic or if a person is under some kind of spell. But if you're a thief, you want to be able to at least have the ability to differentiate the really valuable stuff from the common trash. And if you pick up if you see his two swords and you recognize that one of them is magic, well, you're going to take that one. That's going to sell for a lot more. Right? So I only bring this up because the rogue classes should take this.
Yes.
Should.
Before we go into the next section, so I can clean up these here. So if you're playing a martial type character, it was in relation to wrestling. This is a medieval fantasy game. You're wearing heavy armor. If anything, the rogues, the thieves, would have the acrobatics, not the fighters. The fighters would be trained in, and I understand
Athletics.
that some part of Arma does teach the ability to wrestle to some degree, but they're not going to be doing gymnastics and acrobatics while wearing chainmail or plate mail armor.
Hang on. Like I said, it depends on your, like you said earlier, it depends on your background. If you are, say, an escaped gladiator, you would definitely have wrestling. You would definitely have athletics, and you would probably have even boxing too, because all of this was integral to your life for years before this. So that would make sense, but you would have to create a background story that makes sense for these skills you're going to take.
But my thing is, again, acrobatics and gymnastics, not even so much the boxing. It's just that's what you saw everybody take. Boxing, acrobatics, gymnastics. Just combine acrobatics and gymnastics, and I have much less heartburn with it. But again, if you're a character that rides a horse, if you're a knight and all you do is ride a horse and charge with jousting, you're
not going to have acrobatics.
Yeah, you better explain to me why that's part of your repertoire.
Yeah, and wrestling would be a stretch. Acrobatics would be a no-go. Athletics would be definitely, I could see it. Yeah. Anyway, weapon proficiency. I'll let Max do this one.
All right, note about weapon proficiencies. Each weapon proficiency. Wow, I started off well. Combat training. Oh my God. See, look what you did to me. Each weapon proficiency provides combat training with a particular type of weapon. The result is hand-to-hand combat bonuses to strike and parry whenever that particular weapon is used. All bonuses are cumulative. Each weapon proficiency counts as one skill. The character may select several weapon proficiencies or a few. Note, characters without weapon proficiencies can use any weapon. You mean it's not like Thor's hammer? I don't have weapon proficiency in pen. I can't lift it.
Anyone can use the club.
Oh, right? Weird. Characters without a weapon proficiency can use weapons, but without the weapon proficiency bonuses.
Now, it's very important here. There's no minuses like in many other games. There's no minuses. You just don't get the bonus of having the weapon proficiency. All of your physical strength bonuses for damage, all of your physical prowess bonuses to hit, depending on the weapon, whatever, they still apply. Your base stats still apply for bonuses and minuses, but you do not get what everyone else gets who is trained. All right.
Now, if you can answer this question for me, and hopefully it'll mention here soon. Does your hand-to-hand ability, so if I get +2 at level 3, let's say +2 to strike at level 3, does that count into weapon proficiencies as well?
No, because when in hand to hand we kind of glossed over it, but it says in unarmed combat only.
Excellent. I will tell you that almost every game I was ever in, I combined them, and it drove me crazy.
Okay.
Like, I get a plus 12 to hit with at first level with my what? All right. So we're gonna what I say we're gonna look at archery, and then we're gonna look at targeting, because it was interesting on Friday to see how those two combine together. And of course, we'll have to do the obligatory look at sword, right?
Yep.
Makes sense. Okay. So weapon proficiency archery. An expertise with the bow and arrow. Training includes the use of all types of short bows and crossbows. Oh, notice it doesn't say longbow.
Doesn't say
Oh,
longbow.
it says note, the longbow is exclusive to the longbowman and ranger O.C.C.s. Well, there you go. Skilled characters who are not longbowmen can use these weapons, but find it awkward. Everybody should find it awkward. Watch a video on how to fire a longbow, an actual longbow. All bonuses to strike are at half, and the rate of fire is equal to the archer's normal hand-to-hand attacks per melee. No bonus shots from the weapon proficiency. Weird. All right, so what do you get? What is a bonus for your archery? 20 feet, the effective range per level of the character. So at 15th level, I mean, let's figure it out. You're 15th level. You're at the end game there. You're going to get a bunch of bonuses, right? But that's 300 extra feet to your bow. Plus one.
If you took it at level 1.
Yeah, if you took it at level 1, that is fair. Plus 1 to parry with that weapon, effective at level 1.
Legolas.
I was reading that on Friday, like, who parries with a bow? But whatever. And plus 1 to strike at levels 2, 4, 6, 8, 11, and 14. That's going to be important here in just a moment. So remember those numbers. Yeah, there's a quiz afterward. Archery movement penalty. The character loses all bonuses and rate of fire is half when running and shooting. Flying, when riding on horseback, or from a moving vehicle. Otherwise unbalanced. So when you're in that tank in the western marshes.
Well, vehicle is general.
I know you can be in a carriage. Yeah. Archery rate of fire 2 at level 1 and plus 1 at levels 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 12. Again, pay attention to those for later. And it gives the base ranges. These are the starting ranges. Of course, your mileage will vary depending on your level and the amount of damage that these things do. Now we go down to targeting. And yes, we're going to do that before we come back up to sword. Targeting missiles. Expertise with thrown weapons and proficiency with missile weapons, such as sling, slingshot, boomerangs, blah, 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 right? Bonuses when thrown or slung, plus 1 to strike, etc., etc. Characters who select both weapon proficiency, targeting, and bow, or crossbow, see archery, or spear, get the usual bonuses for that weapon proficiency, plus a bonus from targeting, a plus 1 to strike at 2, 5, and 10. So you're adding a ton of numbers together there. And rate of fire is equal to the character's normal number of hand-to-hand attacks. I just wanted to show off that's why you might take. And of course, there's sniper as well. You can take the sniper for, I think it's a plus 2, to hit. But you are using up multiple skills to make that happen. So if you're really so heavily focused on the bow, you can be Legolas.
Yeah.
but you're not going to be good at too much else. And all right, let's go back up to swords, because what is synonymous with games like this? Swords. So combat skills with large and small swords, including fencing type training, which is weird because fencing type training is totally different than, say, longsword or kensai or samurai swords type training. So it's interesting. Includes rapiers, sabers, broadswords, two-handed, and short swords. But to be fair, to wrap all swords up into one, for once, thank you for not getting into the minutia too much there. Yeah. And it just kind of makes sense for gameplay. It's cinematic gameplay, remember. So your bonuses are plus 1 to strike at levels 1, 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15, and plus 1 to parry at 2, 4, 7, 10, and 13. I love how you get something at almost every level. Oh, wait, you do get something at every level because you get plus 1 to strike when thrown at levels 4, 8, and 12. Oh, wait, there's no 11 in there. Never mind. Swords are not designed for being thrown, but yet you still get a plus 1 to strike when thrown. Right.
Yep. Now, the next most important one here is I want to look at shield, because sword and board is a very viable, survivable option in this game. Weapon proficiency shield. Combat skills with large and small shields used primarily for parrying and self-defense. Bonuses. Plus 1 to parry at levels 1, 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. A shield can be used in one hand and a weapon in the other. Plus 1 to strike with a shield, 1d4 damage, at levels 4, 8, and 12. No bonus to strike when thrown. There's no Captain America here. Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, and then it talks about shields. Wood and leather shields have 30 SDC. Wood and metal plated shields have 50. and small shields can be thrown at 15 feet, inflicting 1d6 damage. No bonus to strike. Hitting or butting someone with a small or large shield does 2d4 damage. A large wooden leather shield is 60. A large wooden metal plated shield is 100 SDC. A large iron shield is 130 SDC, but requires a PS of 22 or higher to use. Otherwise, you're at -4 to parry.
22?
22.
Wow.
It's a kite shield. It's made to, like, you move and then you hit it on the ground. You rest it on the ground and then do stuff or on the side.
But 22 requires that extra roll. It requires you to roll at least that 16 and then still get a freaking 6.
No. You can take physical skills to go from 15 to 22.
Look at that. See, we came full circle. He just brought you back to the physical skills.
Now, here's the important part with the shield proficiency is that most of the time when you look at combat, if you parry with your sword, sometimes you cannot attack with your sword. That's in a lot of Palladium games. If you have a weapon in only one hand and you parry with it, you've actually opened yourself up to an attack or you've used that and you can't attack again. But with a shield and a sword, you can parry all day and attack all day. It's all fine. Now, this next part is optional. Damage to shields. I think we went over this before.
Yep.
With mechanoids, was it?
Maybe.
Yeah, we did.
I know we talked about it because it's looking like deja vu to me, but
yeah,
let's cover it.
We have talked about this, but subtract 10% of the damage that would normally be inflicted by a weapon when block parried by a shield. When all SDC is gone, the shield has too many holes to offer any protection. The next strike will punch right through or shatter it, and the user takes the full force and damage. I do not use this rule. It is stated as optional, so it still rules as written. I do not use this rule. Unless you specifically attack an object, it doesn't take damage. If you specifically attack someone's weapon, the weapon will take damage if you hit. If you specifically attack someone's shield, the shield will take damage. Especially a shield that is literally made only for deflecting attacks. Why would it take damage doing its job? That's dumb to me.
Because they go through multiple shields in a fight.
I understand, but it's dumb to me in a cinematic combat.
And that's the thing. I think that's a really good point to make because, well, I tend to like some realism. I tend to lean in that direction. That's one of those areas where I don't want to be like, okay, did you bring 3 shields? Okay, have your squire quickly bring you over another one since this one got hacked. At the same time, that was kind of the point of battle axes.
Yeah, to burn through shields and armor. Yeah.
So but I agree with Heathen Dog on this. So the cinematic side of it, and specifically in Palladium, because Kevin even mentions that in the combat sections, like it's meant to be cinematic. That I'm going to lean in that direction.
Yeah.
All right. Then we have siege weapons, etc. Carpentry. Here are your survival skills. I'm sorry, but I really want to skip to start work with the O.C.C.s.
There are a couple that I'm going to say are important. Land navigation, obviously.
Yes.
Because you can easily get lost going from A to B, and there's a whole lot of places in between. And having land navigation, not getting lost, paramount to your survival. Preserve food, again, very important. There are some places, especially if you're crossing a desert or whatever, you're going to have that food last a long time. You're not going to be able to hunt. You're not going to be able to fish. You're just going to have what you bring with you. And if it spoils, you die.
Yeah, I'm just going to say all the wilderness surviving skills are important, except for maybe boat building. But even then, I'd say all of them.
Are important. If you're playing as a group, it's a good idea to sit down and see who is going to take what skills. Because all of these are important, not for combat, not for investigation, not for any of that, but just for getting from point A to point B alive. These are all but vital.
All right. We're going to pick 2 O.C.C.s to cover. I'm picking one of them based on what chat said. I wasn't going to pick this one, but chat kind of, all right, let's look at it. We're going to look at the Diabolist. And Heathen Dog can pick whichever one he wants for the second one.
Okay. I'm not going to pick a practitioner. I'm going to pick not psychic. I'm going to pick
Merchant.
Nope. I'm going to pick soldier.
Okay. So we'll do a soldier, and some Diabolist. And the reason is, like, I saw in chat that people don't know how to run a Diabolist,
Summoner, they're
it could be a problem. And I agree. I wanted to play a Diabolist back when, if you were watching Friday, you'll find out that Friday that Garthon was the game master for one of the Palladium fantasy games. And I looked at it, I'm like, I don't get it. So maybe we'll get it now. I don't know. All right, but first, so we have, we'll just scroll through these until we come across the first one of, I think his is going to be first. Clergy.
Is going to be first. There
Priest
it is.
of Light.
It's on PDF 83.
Okay, I'm gonna scroll through these. So you can see these chapters are kind of long, and I think Violence Solves Everything showed that in the first edition book they're like one column, but they put a little extra effort into it for second edition. And to be fair, when it comes to the O.C.C.s, I actually like this. The caveat being, other than this list right here, I would like to see like a toned down version without all that information, just in like a quick column format, like what you get, just a quick what you get. But hey, okay, so we have the Priest of Light. Then we have the Priest of Darkness, which I played, by the way. Bringing somebody back as zombies almost ruined a friendship. Then we have the Warrior Monk.
Now, there is an O.C.C. where taking athletics, acrobatics, and wrestling would be understandable.
Yeah. Yes. Druid. I like these images because I think where it might not be realistic for the world, I think they're realistic for a fantasy setting. This isn't just some barbarian looking person, with a scimitar. This is actually kind of how you should picture a druid. Now, Men of Arms, Mercenary. Of course, I don't follow any liege lord. Oh, he's cute. That looks like a ram python.
Actually, that guy looks like a Rift's juicer variant.
To me, the first thing I thought of when I saw this was Battlelords of the 23rd Century Ram Python.
Okay. I don't think he's human. Fairly certain.
Probably ogre or orc or something, yeah. Soldier. All right, Heathen Dog, here you go.
Okay. Soldiers are professional fighters who are part of a large military force. This is your army and marine. This is your grunt. This is your dude. Like, I fight for the army of Caldane. Well, if you do, you're a private, and this is you, right? Hope you make it to sergeant. Good job. They are instruments of war. The majority of their skills and training are directed towards developing weapon proficiencies, hand-to-hand combat, scaling walls, laying siege to fortifications, military procedure, and operating as part of a combat group.
Teamwork.
Unlike the mercenary, you work as a team. You have a squad or a platoon or whatever. And your O.C.C. skills are going to focus around this. All right.
Which is more important than people like to give credit for. It's like everybody thinks about, I can crush things but by myself. I don't need everybody else. Like, God, when you play as a team in most of these games, there's a synergy, and the soldier is meant for that synergy.
Yes. Now, to acclimate your role playing to being a soldier, this paragraph is important. Starting at military life.
Yep.
Can be restrictive, repetitive, and petty. The soldier is required to account for his actions, obey orders, and show respect towards military superiors. You are trained to follow orders. You are trained to do what your lieutenants and sergeants tell you. You are trained not to question.
And don't believe the movies where the heroes always question and get rewarded. No, they don't. In fact, tangent time here. We both, right off the bat, before we even knew anything else about it, we both had the same argument about Star Trek Discovery. What was it? Even past like the first 2 episodes of the entire series.
I don't remember.
Michael Burnham would never be allowed back on a starship.
Oh, never, ever, ever, ever. See, now the thing is, she's an officer, and an officer has a greater duty, but it has consequences. An officer can decide not to follow an order they think is unlawful or will get their people killed. But if they survive at the end of it, they will have to answer to a court-martial. And if the court-martial does not agree with them, they're booted or in jail or whatever. She was court-martialed. She was found wrong, even though she wasn't. She was found wrong. She's booted. No one in the world would, no military organization in the world would allow her back in, ever.
They don't go to Leavenworth and say, "Well, sorry you're in here, Chuck, but we need your help right now."
Yeah, see,
Like,
that
they
would
don't
never
do that.
happen. That would never happen in real life, and it would never happen in a Palladium fantasy game that I'm any part of.
Yeah.
It would never happen. You are trained to follow orders. That's your job. Follow orders, kill the enemy. That's it. That's all you do. You're a Terminator.
And now before chat goes there, yes, there's something in the real world called law of armed conflict, and yes, there are unlawful orders, blah 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 blah. We're talking the player characters like, my captain's stupid. I'm just gonna do what I want.
No. See, if you think an order is unlawful, then it is your obligation to not follow it. But it is the military's obligation to put you on trial afterward.
Yeah.
But if you're not an officer, you can just be killed for not. If you're an enlisted, an officer can just order you killed for not following an order in combat. Can just murder you, and that's fine. But if you're an officer and you do not follow an order because you think it's unlawful or is stupid, you're putting your life in the hands of a tribunal afterward. Anyway, expected to obey orders without question or hesitation. We just talked about that. That's fine. Let's talk about the advantages of being a soldier.
All right, where's that?
That is scroll down. There. Nope. Up.
Oh,
Stop.
wait. I don't know where you're looking.
Stop.
Oh, it's over in the other column.
Yes.
How many seconds behind me are you?
I don't know. In addition to getting basic military training, being outfitted with basic equipment. Okay, this is the first advantage. You don't have to buy your equipment. Your equipment is given to you. You get armor. You might get a shield. You get a weapon. You get food. You get boots. You get clothing. All this stuff is given to you. You don't got to buy
3 hots and a cot.
There you go. And you are given salaries. You're given money every month, every week, however it works. Minimum of 2-year period, but many kingdoms require 4 to 6 year. Re-enlistments usually 2 to 4 year. Conditions for discharge include poor behavior, lack of obedience, and injury. Sorry, no VA benefits. You can't fight. You lose your leg. Well, guess what? You better find something to do that doesn't require 2
Here's
legs.
a little bit of coin for you to give to your wife so she can find somebody better.
Yeah. Average salary. In addition to basic training, food, and supplies, this in addition to your training, food, and supplies, which is all food, armor, weapons, gear, stuff like that. 100 to 150 gold a month. If you're on the border, which is basically hazard pay because you're more likely to get into a fight, 160 to 200 gold a month. Special assignment or hazard pay. These are like rangers or special op commandos who are definitely going to get into a fight. They get an additional 300 to 600 gold per special assignment. Cavalry, usually knights, nobles, and officers, get 300.
So there's one caveat to the cavalry thing that I want to point out.
Okay, what's that?
I know it doesn't say it in the book, but if you use kind of a historical concept, they didn't even care about that 300 to 400 gold a month. It was everything that they raped and pillaged from.
Yeah, yeah. Longbowmen get 340 a month because,
got to keep that bow oiled.
Yeah, exactly. Officers of low rank get an additional 1 to 300 a month. Officers high rank get an additional 600 to 1,000 gold a month. If you are a mercenary and you are hired into an army, you also get paid. This should be stated as an aside. This should be stated as, hey, this is not part of this O.C.C. This is if someone is a temporary soldier, which anyone can be. If you are a mercenary O.C.C., great, good for you. If you're a rogue class, if you're a man-at-arms or whatever, doesn't matter. You are considered a mercenary if you are a hired soldier. And you get 150 to 200 gold per month plus bonuses for special assignments. So if you're sent on a special assignment, you get the special assignment bonus. If you are bolstering the border, you get a bonus for that. Stuff like that.
You're a contractor.
But yeah, you are on contract for a certain period of time, which is usually far less than a normal soldier's 2 to 6 years, depending on the realm. Mercenary companies and armies often given a 10-20% of the booty as well. So not only do you get your monthly stipend, you also get
booty.
You get the booty. But you must provide your own equipment. The army's not going to give it to you. They're paying for you and the stuff you bring. They're not giving you stuff as well.
All right, so let's go to look at the requirements.
Okay, minimum requirements. Physical strength of 10, physical endurance of 8 or higher, and a desire to fight. These requirements are not hard, especially after physical skills. They'll be fine.
You have to roll really badly in order for you not take one or two at most.
You got to roll like crap, like a lot of. You got to roll a lot of crap to not be able to be a soldier.
Like as in this character was thrown off the hill.
Yes.
At birth.
Yes. If I were born in Sparta, I'd be at the bottom of the cliff. Yep. O.C.C. bonuses. This is on top of any other combat bonuses you have. +1 to pull punch, +1 to save versus horror factor at levels 1, 3,
Wait,
7,
that's
10, and
just
13.
a generic save? Oh my god. Like Game Master said, that's only while with other people.
Nope, it's a generic.
I didn't get, because he said it was the strength of the organization, the strength of the unit.
But the thing is, if you're a soldier, you are usually with a unit. So that does make sense, but it doesn't give that caveat, so it doesn't count. All right, O.C.C. skills. All soldiers get these skills with these bonuses, if they have them, added to the base. Climb scale walls. You get climb scale walls, whatever base skill that is, +5%. Because you are trained to scale fortifications, to get to all of the juicy people on the inside to murder them. That's your job.
The Weaver.
Forced march. Obviously, I spoke about that earlier. This is it. Bodybuilding and weightlifting. You got to be able to carry all of the siege equipment parts and the battering rams. You're gonna be able to carry that. I mean, it means you got to be strong.
Violence solves everything. I don't know anybody who plays it that way. I've never met a single person who played it that way.
Nope.
I mean, you might be right. Rules is written, but that's not how anybody I've ever seen plays it.
Exactly. What we do is you choose your O.C.C, and at the end of skills, you have to be able to hit those minimum requirements.
That's fair. Okay. I mean,
that is fair. Yes. You have to roll a 10 and an 8 to be able to take this, to get the skills. Okay.
I want to caveat his comment though. We are trying to do it raw, but this is also including rules as written, but this is also including commentary. It's also including some of the, our thoughts on this as well. So, but yes, if you're doing it rules as written, you're right. But I don't know anybody who plays it that way.
Yeah, I've never met anyone who plays it that way. But I understand.
Yeah.
The way Max and I do it is if you choose an O.C.C and it has a minimum requirement that you don't immediately meet because of the 3d6 down the line roll you made, you have to choose skills to bolster your stats to equal or exceed the minimum requirements, or you can't, you have to start over.
And I just put in the comments up so people knew what we were reacting to. That's it.
Yes, that is absolutely true. You're absolutely right. But I have found that
there you go.
Waves. Yeah. I have found that people will spend a lot less time just re-rolling all their stats. Like, nope, I don't play a character. I want to re-roll my stats. I want to re-roll. Even still,
a 10 and an 8 isn't hard.
No, rolling an 8 is not hard. An average roll for 3d6
10 and a half.
Be 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 and a half.
Yep.
So either 10 or 11. So hitting these is not difficult. It's not difficult at all. Now,
and I know too many game masters who would be like, "Oh, all your attributes are actually the attributes you rolled for your one for your example, where it's like you had like was it 4 or 5 11s, right? And just pop, 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 pop. I know a lot of game masters would be like, "No, just start over and re-roll again." I don't like that personally, but I know a bunch that would do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Bodybuilding, languages, native tongue at 98. You're going to see that a lot. +1 of choice at +10%. Now, speaking another language is what? It's 30 + 5, right? So it'll for the soldier, it'll be 40 + 5 because you've had some training, formal training in another language. Usually, it's a language of a very friendly or a very unfriendly country, next to yours that your army will train you in. Military etiquette plus 20%.
Very, very useful skill that is
Yes.
overlooked. And I actually like it even in the modern sense, because when you're dealing with the coalition and rifts, or you're dealing with the Western armies here or whatever, and you're not using that skill, you're not necessarily, you don't know. I'm sorry. I get it. You were in the military. You know these things. People in the real world don't. The number one thing that I would tell you that just use for the real world is people want to talk to everybody in the military and try to get information. Did you contact public affairs? The real world doesn't know that for some reason, that I'm not going to tell you crap. Go contact public affairs.
Yeah.
Public affairs is there for that. It's working that bureaucracy.
Yep. And if you have a problem with your chain of command, you have to know how to resolve that problem without getting yourself into trouble. You have to know which rules in combat are to be followed depending on the situation. You have to know in a weird situation who's in direct command of you,
what the ranks mean,
lawful orders.
You could use heraldry for that, I guess, but you know what the ranks mean, and yeah. I like the military etiquette skill. That's one of the few that kind of get in the minutia that I think makes sense, especially when you're dealing with this type of world.
Weapon proficiency, shield, and 2 weapons of choice. Again, shield, very important. Every soldier has a shield. Why do they train
formation?
Why do they train all soldiers in shield? Because they makes them more survivable. It makes them live longer on the field of battle. That way, it makes them more effective. And if they'll live through more combats. And so the army or country that is funding this isn't losing trained people all the time.
Tortoiseshell.
There you go. And 2 weapons of choice, usually a sword and a pole arm of some kind, or a morning star, something like that.
Spear.
You know, whatever.
Spear's pretty common if you're being historically. Yep.
Exactly. Hand-to-hand basic. Now, this is if you lose your weapon, you still have something to fight with. Your fist. All right. You can increase that with secondary, with related skills, or secondary skills. You can burn a secondary skill, get expert, burn 2 secondary skills, and get martial arts. That's up to you. But they didn't train you with that. This is what you get. Now,
and this makes sense for a soldier, by the way. I've had people argue like the soldier should at least be expert. No, they don't teach you like that in the military.
No, they don't do that. No, you are trained in your service's weapon. If
you're a Marine, you get that pugilistic stick, and they go out and they do their little. Because I saw this when I worked for the Marines. They'll go outside and they'll all play kung fu with each other or whatever it is. But it's still only basic. It isn't until you get into like the actual. Okay, we're going to spend 6 months training you how to do this. That it becomes expert, or you are now going to spend your life learning how to be a Tibetan monk that you get martial arts. Yes, right, I'm exaggerating a little bit.
Yes, I mean, if you want to learn expert, or if you want to learn more weapon skills, or if you want to, you burn your secondary skills. That's what they're for. That's your off time. That's how you do it. Now, these related skills, these are skills that are so related to your actual training that you can get bonuses for, or choose at all, because this is it's common for lots of people to know this. So they have it related and a bonus.
I'm not a soldier. I was a cook. Get me out of this war.
Domestic, any. Horsemanship, general or exotic only. First aid only. That's fair.
Wait, was exotic an option? I thought it was general, knight, and paladin.
No. Exotic horsemanship was riding the elephants, camels.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Whatever. Yeah, stuff like that.
Oh,
physical, any except acrobatics. You literally can't take acrobatics as a related skill, because no one in the military is going to teach you that, because for a soldier, that's dumb.
No trapeze artists in the military.
Yeah, no rogue. Mathematics only. You have to be able to count the number of enemies, right? That's about it.
Somebody else's job.
Proficiencies, any. Wilderness, carpentry, land navigation, and wilderness survival. Again, land navigation, wilderness survival, and carpentry. These are 3 of the most important skills for a soldier. I'll give you 3 examples. Carpentry, building a siege weapon on site. You
or
don't
a defensive fighting position
weapon and then bring it to the battlefield. No, it's in pieces. You bring the pieces and you erect it on site, and the soldiers have to be able to do that. So they have to have carpentry. That's why carpentry is a skill.
Somebody's got to rewind. Yes, it is a point of contention. Heathen Dog and I do not agree.
Yep.
I mean, he is right, rules as written, but I do not like the rule as written. Yes, it was brought up.
And land navigation. Grunts are not supposed to get lost on the way to combat. You need to be able to do this.
I just follow the lieutenant. It's his job to get me lost.
Yeah. Wilderness survival. You have to be able to make it to the combat and not die. These are all very important skills. All right, secondary skills. You get to select 4 secondary skills from the previous list at levels 1, 2, 1 and 2 at level 4 and 8 at level 12. Okay, hang on.
No. Hold on.
Let me reread that. The character also gets to select 4 secondary skills from the previous list at levels 1. And
it should say level 1.
4. I don't understand why level is pluralized.
That's where it got thrown off. You're right.
Yeah, I'm not understanding that. Okay, so I'm going to read it as I think it should be read. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but the sentence doesn't make sense without doing this. The character gets to select 4 secondary skills from the previous list at level 1, 2 more from the previous list at level 2. I'm sorry, at level 4, and 8 from the previous list at level 12. These additional areas.
No. It's 2 at levels 4, 8, and 12. So it'd be 2 at 4, 2 at 8, and 2 at 12.
Nope, 4 at level 1, 2 at level 4, 8 and 12. Okay, see, I missed the comma after 8. I'm used to having the Oxford comma thing. So yeah, you get to select 4 at level 1, 2 more at levels 4, 8, and 12. Okay, now
I want to say that.
Okay, very important. That means you can never select acrobatics ever.
Yeah, because it says previous list.
Yes, you must select it from the related OCC list. You can never have acrobatics as a soldier.
Now, to paraphrase Violence Solves Everything, he's been saying in chat here that he thinks that there are too many skills and it leads people to take the physical skills because he has opinions about the physical skills. And I generally agree with him. And I'm wondering, going back again, full circle, as we were talking at the beginning, if that's why skills like Mime exist. Like just to fill up skill slots, because he put in here 2 at level 4, 2 at level 8, all of a sudden it's like you pretty much have the complete list. Like, I don't need anything else. Yeah, I'll just do athletics. I run more now. I'll take swimming, whatever. I don't care. There comes a point where it's like, you pretty much have everything you need. So let's just get stronger and better in combat.
Okay, I get it.
He has definitely has a valid point on that one.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, now these secondary skills are additional areas of knowledge that do not get the advantage of the bonus listed in the parentheticals. Now, this is important as well because
we got $5.
We did. Isn't Kevin Sambita's writing style just perfect? No confusion at all. Yep, I agree with that sarcasm.
Yeah, I agree. And thank you very much for the $5. Do appreciate that.
But secondary skills are stuff you trained on your own. You are self-taught these things. You were not trained in any formal way whatsoever, which means you do not get any extra percentage bonuses when you receive the skill because it wasn't any kind of formal training. You learned it on your own. No one helped you. You learned it on your own, which is fine, which is great. All right. And soldier, obviously starting equipment, you get civilian clothing, boots, pair of gloves, belt, bedroll, backpack, 2 small sacks, water skin, 2 weeks worth of food rations, and a tinderbox. Armor starts with a chainmail armor for free or studded leather, your choice. Weapons start with a small shield, a dagger, and 2 weapons of choice. I would recommend the 2 weapons you took as a weapon proficiency, but you don't have to. All are basic SDC weapons of good quality. It doesn't mean they don't get any bonuses, but they don't get any minuses, and they're not going to break on you the first time you go into combat. Special or magic weapons, superior armor, additional equipment, horse, blah, 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 and other stuff may be assigned for special missions. If the army determines you need more stuff, they will give you more stuff. If the army determines you don't, you're SOL.
A weird guy, to be fair, it's 1 sentence in a book of 344 pages. So, the problem with me is that that's not the only sentence in the book that there are
many sentences in this book that need to be rewritten to make sense.
Yeah.
Now, officers, when you're a higher level soldier, you can become an officer, and you will get equipped a superior weapon and 1 additional weapon of choice, and you will get higher level armor and a horse with barding.
Wow. Plus
Yes.
4 to damage?
Yes.
Jeepers
Those high quality
creep.
weapons are no joke. This steel was forged 200 times in the forge at Mount Doom or
How do
whatever.
I roll up an officer? I just say I'm an officer and I am one?
No. All soldiers, all officers are soldiers, but not all soldiers are officers. You have to be higher level or prove yourself or get some kind of cool field promotion or whatever. And then you can be
I'm not trying to be a dick about this, but where does it say that? Like when I'm looking at the O.C.C, I don't say I agree with you, by the way.
If you look at the O.C.C in the money, if you go up, it talks about officer money, low-level officer money, high-level officer money.
But it doesn't say how you become an officer.
It doesn't say how to become an officer, but it's under the soldier O.C.C. That means you are still a soldier O.C.C. Officer is just a rank.
Sure. No, I get that, but I could start the game as a lieutenant. I mean, how many?
Yes.
So I could start off the game with.
If we're agreeable, then yes. You could start off as an officer with a weapon of superior quality and a horse with armor.
Hopefully the game master, and I would say that unless you've been in the military, not many actually do, would run that appropriately. Because I'll tell you right now, lieutenant is the worst rank, at least in the Air Force. I'd rather be an airman than a lieutenant.
Yeah.
They abuse lieutenants. All right, anything else that you want to talk about? 25% discounts, or should we just move on to Diabolist?
If you're buying from your own country for stuff for yourself with your own money, then you get a discount at the store. Basically, you're a member of the Army Sam's Club.
Basic hairstyle. It's not hazing. Yeah, I think it. Well, it's not hazing when it's a lieutenant. You got knights.
You know, go down
to Code of Chivalry.
Diabolist.
The Paladin. Yeah. But I'm going to show Ranger.
There's a longbowman.
Yep. Thief. Yeah, that's what I tried to make on Friday. Assassin. Optional O.C.C.s. So they're like, screw magic. Let's just go. Let's become a merchant first. Or a noble. That's what I want to be. I want to be a noble. What do you get as a noble? Heraldry, military etiquette. Whatever.
The optional O.C.C.s in this game are to fit specific campaigns.
Yeah.
Like if you,
I could be his squire.
Yeah, you could be a squire. It's fine. But it only fits if you have a specific campaign that the game master is going for. Like you wouldn't be a noble unless the campaign was focused around the nobility, the royal court, stuff like that. You wouldn't be a merchant unless the game is focused around making money, trade routes, stuff like that. So that's why they're optional. You could only take them if the game master's world that he wants to put you through accommodates those classes.
I have a different opinion right now.
Of what?
I think we save the Diabolist until next week.
Oh, we're taking too long for you?
But also I think there are going to be some things that we're going to have to talk about magic. Well, that's what I'm scared of. I'm scared of the fact that we're going to talk about the Diabolist and then have to refer back to the magic section. And magic is next week.
Yes.
So chat, what do you guys think? Should we just do magic and then create it, or not create, but talk about the Diabolist next week? Or do you want us to try to fumble through it today and make a really bad video?
Real Long Shot says next week.
Yep, that's one vote. I'll give it a few seconds here.
Sheriff says next week.
Okay. Seems to be leaning towards
sports fans here.
I don't know. It's a game. We should not stream into the game, even if we have one of our longer streams.
Billy Rubin and Kevin Sullivan says it's Diabolist is very complex, probably best.
Okay.
Barball. Yep. Everyone says next week.
So how about this? We'll actually take it upon ourselves to look into the Diabolist, even instead of just kind of covering like we did the soldier. We will cover magic. We will cover spells. We'll cover how magic works. If there's time, psychics. But I think those are going to have to be two separate things. We'll see how it works. And I'll talk with Heathen Dog about that because he has much more understanding of the Palladium psychic versus magic than I do. But we'll make sure that we at least go over the Diabolist in its full glory next week as well. So...
Okay. That means we are rounding out this segment, and we are now going to give away some stuff.
Give away some stuff. And the first thing we're going to give away is Heathen Dog spending my money. Get off
What now?
This was not part of the original. And you're like, hey, what game do you like? Max will give it away now.
Hey, to be fair, after that, I told you to stop with the gift cards, but you kept going.
No. The gift cards were already solidified. This was when Dolly Pop and Pundit were on.
Oh, right.
This was Dolly Pop's choice. So everybody should go subscribe to Dolly Pop with 2 L's and an I. That's Aaron the Pedantic's wife. Go check her out. And, well, maybe not check her out like that. Aaron might not like that. But check out her channel.
Kevin has a preemptive rigged.
Oh, I just closed out the wrong one.
Good job.
Well, I closed out Bessem, which we'll be doing next. Which we'll be doing in segment 2. Yeah, hashtag pro streamer. There you go. Like, okay, let me now open up the giveaway thingy-me-jiggy.
Give it away, give it away, give it away, Max. Give it away, give it away, give it away, Max.
There you go. Up. Also translate. I used to know not the rune language, but the Diabolus symbols. The Palladium magic symbols. I used them for many things outside the Palladium game. I used to know what all of them meant. I don't anymore. Digest. Where is the comment picker? I had this all set up until I rebooted my computer. There it is, right there where it's supposed to be. Okay. Share. Now, a little secret about this DCC book. I don't have it. So you're going to get it straight from the publisher.
So if it's damaged at all, it's their fault.
Yeah, right.
Now
that's
the whole
number one
book that got damaged, that's Max's fault.
That's Crafty's fault. Actually, I think it's FedEx's fault.
You're the last one in the chain of custody. It's your fault. Now,
just so everybody knows again, so I can reiterate the rules because I want to be very clear here before we start this. Number one, if you already won a hardcover book, you don't get to win another hardcover book, but you are able to win all the gift certificates you want. That's number one. Number two, if you're watching right now or when I contact you, if you don't live in the continental United States or APO FPO, you're not going to get the hardcover book. You'll automatically get the gift certificate and the hardcover book will go to the next one. What happens if 3 people in a row don't get hardcover books? Well, the first one's going to get a gift card and then the rest are SOL until it's just, I'm not giving out 75 prizes because none of you live in the States. What's the other? Oh, and I need a private way for you to send me your contact info, whether it's as simple as your email address for the gift certificates or it's a your home address.
Of some kind.
Right. The easiest way is if you're watching, jump on in here with Discord. There's a private chat. You can give me your information there. That'll work the best. If not, I have to have a way of validating it's you because some random person could try to mimic you. I don't know, so just want to put that out there. So if you're not on our Discord or if you're, YouTube doesn't have a private chat, which is really stupid. It used to, but it doesn't have a private chat anymore.
Yeah. If you want to give us your address, tell us you want to give us your address. We will send you the link to jump in to Streamlabs.
Yep.
And you can private message. He will copy it. Then we will delete it. And then you'll get your stuff.
So if you're not comfortable giving me your information, then you can't win anything. We've never run into that, but I'm just saying, yeah. And hey,
how many?
If you don't, wow, it's having a problem. Only 15. Okay.
Oh,
that's
okay.
Like almost half of last week.
Yeah.
So just so everybody knows, I don't care where you live. Just give me a US address. So, that's...
yeah, if you want to send it to your mom and have your mom send it to you in France, fine. Yeah. That's fine. That's your mom's problem.
All right, are we ready? We got 15 people that are ready for this. Is for Dungeon Crawl Classics.
Hit it.
I'm hitting. Judson Rack. I know who that is. That's going to be an APO FPO. That's actually so when I talk about the game that I played in Germany, the 2E game that converted to 5E, that was my game master. What's really sad is he wanted Bessem.
Oh.
He wanted Bessem for I think it was his daughter. So unfortunately he got DCC. Now, if you guys want to work out a deal to trade, I'm not getting in the middle of that. But for now, Judson, I know how to get a hold of him.
Okay, great.
That makes my life a lot easier. And I also know his address is legit, so I don't have to worry about that. All right, are you ready for the second winner for the gift? Oh, well, we got to read his comment. I have watched this game played a few times and wondered why it's labeled as not player character friendly. Seems like a good game to me. I would play. The real question is, how does it hold up to Astonishing Swords with Sorcerers of Hyperborea? Well, sir, I actually responded to that one. I've been really remiss about responding to comments recently.
I remember that comment.
So,
okay, now this is for the gift card, right?
This is for the gift card.
Wait, stop. Do you have to change the link to the other?
No. The second link is for Bessem and the other gift certificate. There's always one hardcover and one gift certificate per each one.
Fair enough. Okay.
All right, for the
$25 gift certificate, a drive-through RPG.
It's legit. He can do it.
You can do it.
The gift, only the hardcovers are limited. You guys
saw what happens when there's only 15 people. This is what happens, people. Hey, if you want to win, you got to comment.
Judd, I know it's Germany, but you better be watching. So now everybody can type in Rig. There you go, Rig. We need the hacks.
Rig, yeah, you can type it. That's fine.
Yeah, I will type it. I'm going to type it. Hacks.
Hacksaw.
Rig. Double Rig because I know who he is. Oh my God. Well, Judd, also known as Mystic Legion. Okay. I'll get his address. There we go. It does say it in the rules. You can look at the rules in case you're wondering. I think Max is making... No, Max isn't making anything up.
Yeah, but YouTube is very strict about rules for contests and giveaways. But
Bessem will be next. Now, if you win Bessem and you want to reach out to Judd, you can talk to me and I will reach out to him. If you're like, I'd rather have DCC than Bessem, I can't guarantee he will change. I am not going to speak for him. But if that happens, I am willing to reach out to him because I know how to get to him pretty quickly. Worst case scenario, when I'm at work on Monday, I'll just call him in Germany. And because he's my replacement. When I left Germany, he's the guy that replaced me.
Okay.
All right.
And he has displayed a preference for Bessem, so
yes,
it's very likely he'll agree.
So, but I cannot volunteer him for that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
It does count as a critical hit.
Let's go ahead and go through the proclivities real quickly here while I slide this stuff over. I'm going to use
the Little Heathen Dog's room while you do that.
Oh, actually, I need to do that too. I'll do the proclivities and then you'll do proclivities. All right. So that is going to be the end of segment 1. Yes, we do these rolls during segment 1. That is going to be the end of segment 1. So congratulations to Judson Rackley for the $25 gift certificate, and I actually know his email address, so I can just email him that right away. Congrats. And for winning Dungeon Crawl Classics hardcover. So hopefully he enjoys that. And yeah, I'll get that shipped out to him ASAP. And to be fair, just for the people who are going to win the Bessem hardcover, I'm going to be ordering that directly from Discami. I do not have an extra copy of that one as well. So you're also going to get that one directly from the publisher. You can't blame me for anything. So be sure to, because we're really bad about putting this on the screen, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And we've got a week 3 contest coming up. Week 3 contest is going to be, let me show you those week 3 books. This is going to be the week 3 contest. Next week, we'll be giving away Worlds Without Number, which I have in a hardcover right in my protected box under like 7,000 stacks of bubble wrap, and Lion and Dragon from RPG Pundit, along with a couple of gift cards. So that's going to be next week. And again, for this week, we gave away Dungeon Crawl Classics, and segment 2 is going to be Bessem. Big eye, small mouth. Let's see here. And yeah, check out our links. Should really do this at the beginning. I feel like Graham, really bad about pimping myself. At least pimping myself when it matters.
There you go.
All right. Well, you go ahead and talk to these fine folks. Catch up on chat. Well, I do the same thing now.
Okay.
Hey, I don't want Heathen Dog symbol. I got to have the proper Max symbol.
Well, then do it.
Doing it.
There it is.
There's baby Max.
All right, let's see here. Rigged. I agree. His friend won both things. That's suspect. Call a lawyer. DCC is a good system. It's fun. I mean, I've heard a lot of people, they just do the funnel for fun as like a one shot. You know, they just do it for fun. I've heard that. Big ears, small mouth. It's funny. Okay, Lion and Dragon. I don't own it, and I've never played it. So, the magic in that game gets weird. It Well, DCC magic's weird too with the whole degeneration thing. But if it's weird in a different way, go ahead and let me know. I'll throw it up there. Real long shot. Thank you for coming by. Really appreciate it. If you win, you'll have to, you know, if you win the second giveaway, you'll have to check it out later on. Cher says, question is, while you're being pimped, who gets the money? Me. Yes. I get all the money. When Max made the LLC, I secretly slipped in. I own 51% of Legion of Myth. So I have backdoor passwords and stuff to everything. So yeah, I can take whatever money I want from him. I can steal from him at any time, but don't tell him that. I want it to be a surprise. Kevin Sullivan has a copy of Big Ear Smallmouth. Well, I hope you don't win another one, or if you do win another one, sell it or trade it for DCC. That'd be great. Oh, Lion and Dragon tries to simulate real historical superstitions. And my God, people believe some insane things. Yes, they did. In that game, they actually worked, though. I'm worried about sentence. But using leeches for healing, hey, that's what they did. They thought it was cool. What is Bessem? Big Eye, Small Mouth. It is an anime-based role-playing game. So you are playing as an anime character. You want to play.
You don't have to.
You don't have to, but that's what the game is based on. That's what you're supposed to.
And if you remember, at first I said no. It's just a point-based system. Whatever. You can play anime anything. You can play anime through GURPS. You can play anime through Champions. But I was sold by the end of it, where it's like, no, this is really designed for an anime style character, and I think it does it well.
We did a review of the entire book, and we even had the writer on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had
Mark McKinnon.
We had Mark McKinnon on with us to talk and explain some stuff and do some stuff like that.
To tell us why we should stop complaining about certain words. And
yeah.
but to be fair, he was right.
If you look back at our YouTube channel and search for Bessem, you'll find the review we did on it. If you want to learn more about it, and if you want to see the impromptu interview we had with Mark McKinnon, then you can watch that too.
And by the way, to this day, I really appreciate him coming on. Coming on, see, Heathen Dog knows I don't really care about anime. I'm not a big anime fan, but because Mark McKinnon came on and gave us that, that courtesy, I bought more Bessem stuff.
Oh, there's the D20 version of Bessem. He actually talked about that in the interview we had.
Yeah, we told him we didn't like that idea.
Yeah, we didn't like that idea.
But he admitted, he's straight up like, oh, why are you doing this? Well, money.
Money.
I can't argue with you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, he's a business. He's got a business to run. He's got people to pay. He's got a mortgage, kids to feed, whatever. That's how it works.
I'm glad he got the rights to his own game back, though. And I can't remember which edition it was that he lost it, like second or third, whatever. But I'm glad he got the rights back, so that he could rebuild it or update it, however you want to say it, to still meet his vision. So I thought that was cool. So is Willaboo a class? Wait, what are we talking about? Is Willaboo? What's a Willaboo?
Or
Weeaboo. Weeboo.
Yeah.
Weeboo.
I think that's spelled incorrectly, but yeah.
That's an anime term of some sort that I don't know.
That's a anime simp, basically.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. Everything is a class, because this accomplishes two things. See, Mark McKinnon understands anime. Anime is more diverse than our sitcoms, than our dramas, than our TV. If you name a TV show here in the United States, there are probably 5 anime on it.
Yep.
So it covers everything. And this book covers everything. Mecha Pilot, slime creatures, cat-eared girls, normal people in what they call it, slice of life.
Food Wars.
Food Wars. That's that. Yes, it's all covered here.
Anyway, Nunya, leeches are back in medicine. They're used for reattachment. Yes, leeches promote blood flow, and it helps with reattached limbs, and it even Yep, yeah, there it is.
I'm just
And
going to
it-
show a couple while you're talking.
Yeah, and it even helps people who have frostbite get circulation back to the appendages before they die.
I'm not going to show every page here. I'm just showing things that look, a little different. Where's the slime thing?
Okay, Patrick Barnes decided he wanted to get a timeout.
Why? What did he do?
Nothing.
What did he do?
Nothing.
Oh, no. I'm used to it. He does that every day. He times them out. That's awesome. But I saw it. I know, sir. You're gone. Patrick Barnes, you are now the 100th person that Heathen Dog is timed out. For that, Heathen Dog will buy you a $100 RPG book. Snitches get stitches.
Snitches get stitches, exactly.
Oh my god. That's got to go up there. There we go. Yep. Now, just in case anybody's wondering, no, Judson Rackley cannot win the Bessem book unless somebody trades with him because he's already won a hard copy. So,
yep.
All right, let's go into segment 2. Did you even see what segment 2's topic today was? I don't think you did. Okay. Because I posted it like 3 seconds before the before the stream started. And I don't even have a graphic for it because I was indisposed yesterday. So where's our segment 2 stuff? There we go. Start with this.